I guess I'm live. Welcome to Parky Amigos, everyone. Just give me 1 second when I arrange everything. Okay. Hey. Hello, Akash. Welcome to Parky Amigos. Okay. So if you guys have any questions, you can put down in the comment section here. Hello, Shasha. Welcome to Parky Amigos. So if you guys have any questions, put down in the comment section so I can go through them one by one. But I have a pre-listed bunch of questions that I'll be answering today. Those who have already commented and asked me before. But Rishabh, hi, welcome to Parky Amigos, guys. So as I said, so if you guys have any questions, just put down in the comment section so that I can answer them one by one. Or else I'll be starting off with some questions that I already have on my channel. So, okay, so starting with health insurance. Okay, that was my first question to be answering about the health insurance. So, okay, Akash says that hope you are doing well there. Yes, Akash, thank you for asking. I'm fine. I have question regarding Ph.D. I'm aspiring for PhD in clinical or counseling psychology. I have lots of friends over here who are doing PhD in like counseling psychology specific, like to be very specific, they are doing actually in counseling psychology. So I can help you with that. So let me know if you have any questions about that. So the first question is about the insurance thing that I want to make clear. Is there a different kinds of insurance? The first thing that I want you guys to be aware of is don't go for the insurance that is already there in India. So there will be some Indian companies, like before you guys want to come over here, so there will be some companies who will be like approaching you to get some insurance from India. Don't go there, because those things are not going to work over here and they are going to be more expensive and you have to pay a lot. So there is something called co-pay and deductible thing which works on like the health insurance. If you guys want, I can do a separate video explaining how the stuffs work. But yes, health insurance is very, it's kind of not mandatory, but it is mandatory by the schools over here. So to whichever schools you'll be admitted, they require health insurance, like for whatever time period you'll be studying over here. So the health insurance, that depends on various feature. The first thing is it will ask you for your date of birth, so that you should give it the exact date of birth that you have on your passport. So according to your date of birth, it will calculate your age and then it will give you a specific amount of what will be the specific amount of health insurance. So it depends on age. First of all, it depends on age. Second of all, it depends on what kind of plan you are choosing to. So there are 3 or 4 kinds of plans, like bronze, silver, golden, and then diamonds. So there are some different kinds of plans there. Whichever is suitable, choose that. I choose bronze all the time, because trust me, you're never gonna use the insurance for anything, because insurance is needed when you have anything serious or severe thing. I never used it in my last year, entire year. The whole money was like west, but it's like kind of something that's mandatory. You have to do, so you cannot help that. And I will suggest 2 insurance if you guys want to note it down, or I can type it on the comment section here. So I would suggest one is ISO, that is the International Student Health Insurance. That is good. And another I will suggest is PSI. I do my insurance from PSI. So I prefer PSI because it is more cheaper, and also it is like it's more convenient in terms of like economic and everything. It's like fine. ISO, I found when I compared myself, ISO was bit more expensive, but it is good for international students as well. So you can try looking out on both of this. That will be my suggestion. And yes, but another point that I want to add over here is, in your university, if you have like very small injuries or maybe cough and cold, if you want to go and see the doctor, that is usually free of cost. unless and until your school is charging for that. But whenever you have any minor problems, go visit the school medical. So there is a medical center present in every school, so if you have time, go and visit there. But if you have any serious injuries, then you may go for any bigger hospitals in your city. But I would prefer going to the university medical center that is free for all the students if you carry your student ID card. Lot of thing about the insurance. Okay, now coming to the next question. What is this? Oh, that Shasha, that is ISO and PSI. These are the health insurances. What I'm typing. So these are the health insurances. So for PhD, okay, next question says, can I get an admit in PhD position without a publication? Yes and no. So why I say yes and no is mostly if you are an aspiring student for PhD and you are applying to like high-end universities, they require publications. So they don't say that we require publication, but trust me, when they are like scrutinizing your application, they look for people who have publication. And so it's a comparison thing. So suppose for the same semester you have a particular GRE score and TOEFL or IELTS or whatever scores and GPA you have, but you don't have any publication. So there is another student who has like almost like kind of same criteria as you have and has a publication, then that student will get a preference over that. I hope that makes sense. So sometimes people get admitted without having any publication, but if you have any publication, that is more easier. That's a big plus point on your application package. So that's a yes for me. So I would say that I had a publication before coming here, so I guess that was a helping point, but only having a publication is not going to help you because that is not everything. So you need to have other things in your application package. So I have made an entire video on the stuff that you need for your application package. If you want, you can go and see that, where publication is kind of optional, but it is a requirement. It's not a requirement, but it is kind of an essential stuff. I can say that. Yeah. So when did PhD interview take place? So my PhD interview was on Skype. So I got like two or three admits, and one of them was on Skype, one of them was via email. So via email, what happened is the advisor, my prospective advisor, he gave me some papers to study, and we had a discussion regarding to those papers. So it was kind of email interview. So there are different kinds of interviews that happen. It may happen over Skype, it may happen over email, it may happen over telephonic conversations. So there are different things that happens. So it depends on what your advisor is asking for. Sometimes the interview is taken only by the advisor, and also if the advisor the advisor has to like support you, so he has to give your name to the graduate committee. So if he gives your name, if he's okay with your interview, how it has gone, so he will publish, he will kind of recommend your name to the graduate college and the graduate committee, and they will conduct a second interview. Sometimes it happens, sometimes the advisor's interview is enough. So it depends on your advisor and the school policies as well. So yep, these are the kind of interviews that may happen for, and sometimes interviews doesn't even happen and people get admitted. So it all depends on the school and the advisors that you are looking for. What are your views about the future of GRE in fall 2022? I am very much hopeful that GRE is taken off in the future, because there are most of the bigger schools, they are like, I think if you have noticed a thing that apart from what was the thing in 2019 and 20, right? Sorry, 2018 and 19, right now in 2020, many schools, they have taken off the GRE, because frankly, GRE is, I don't know how, like you guys have done masters. If you're coming for PhD, you guys have done masters, right? So GRE, I don't know why that is given a weightage for application package, but many bigger schools and average schools, they have taken off GRE. So it depends on the, but it's kind of a different thing goes on between the school and the ETS. So ETS earns a lot of money from TOEFL and GRE exams. So that's very hard to take it off completely from the PhD students. But I am very hopeful the way things are going on that it might go off in fall 2022 completely, because in 2020 most of the schools, they don't require GRE at all. So but there is a tricky thing I would want to highlight on this thing, that whichever school they say they don't require GRE, make sure they don't require GRE, and that's a complete no. If they're saying it's an optional thing, then that is a very tricky thing. If the GRE is optional, that means like when the situation is like a student has GRE and the student doesn't have GRE, the student who has GRE will get a higher weightage. So I hope that makes sense, because when GRE is optional, just take it as a yes. It's a complete yes. That's just a fancy way of showing on their website. But if it is optional, then GRE is required. But if it is a complete no, that we do not require GRE at all, please do not send your GRE scores. If something is written like this on the school webpage, which is like most of the school has this policy right now in the currently 2020, so that means you don't have to submit the GRE. So don't worry about the GRE at that time. So look for, if you don't want to really go for GRE, then look for those schools who don't require GRE for your particular course of study. And also one thing I want to say is, if they're not looking for GRE, they are definitely giving weightage on all the other things on your application package, like your English proficiency test, like your GPA and letter of recommendations, and personal statement, research publications, and lots of things. So if GRE is not required, then they are definitely giving weightage on different other things. So you have to be careful on that part. Okay. Next question. Rishabh says, for PhD in USA, which type of visa should we apply? So for PhD in USA, you have to apply for F1 visa. So that is the student visa that you require to apply. And when we are talking about visa, there somebody has asked me about the visa. What is the fees of visa in USA? For PhD student, the F1 visa, or maybe the exchange student, they go for J visa or M visa. All these three kinds of visa, they are charging $160. So convert that into your currency, Indian currency, and you can get an exact amount of how much is that. It is $160 for the visa. But apart from visa, you have to pay a service fee. That is, I think that is $350 right now. I've noted it down somewhere. So yes. So yes, the service fee is $350 right now. It was, I think, before, it was when I came here, it was like $200 or $150, something like that. But now it is $350. They have increased the fees, but visa fees is $160. Okay, so Akash Rajoria, he asks, does taking a gap year affect the application? No, it doesn't affect the application, because I took a gap year myself, so it doesn't affect the application. So basically the thing is, in USA, most of the people, they don't continue the studies, like in a sequence order as we do in our country. So they usually, they go for undergrad, then they go for job, then they go for masters, then they come after like a couple of years and they go for PhD. So here the gap is not at all a issue, but make sure you are doing something effective in that gap period, because when you will be having a visa interview, the officer in the embassy, he is going to ask you, what were you doing since you passed out? So you must have a genuine cause or reason to so, because I was doing my internship at that time, so I had 1 year internship at that time, so I can show that 1 year I was working in a lab. So make sure you have the documentations with you, because they mostly don't ask for documentation, but if they require a documentation, you should have it handy during your visa interview. And also your advisor may ask sometime like what you are doing since you passed out. So make sure you're I will say, if you're not working somewhere, if you're not working in any lab or any job or anything, go enroll in some online classes. In that way, you can show that I was like having online studies, because right now, because of the COVID thing, online studies like plays a very important role. So if you are studying online at that time, that will perfectly make sense. So I will say that even if you're don't say that I was preparing for JRE. Don't say I was preparing for higher studies. Don't say that, because that's an invalid thing. Here they don't believe like you have to take a gap year just to prepare for your studies. So don't say that you are preparing for something. It will be very awkward in that situation. But rather you can say that, I would say that if you're working, it is fine. If you're like having some experience or doing some job, that is also fine. But if not, try to get enrolled in some online classes. That is very helpful, and that will save your time too. Okay, so Akash is saying, if JRE is waived, what is going to replace the weightage of it? Yeah, that's what I said. So if JRE is no, Akash is completely okay. You can't have too many questions. That is why I took the live session today. I wanted to like attend all your questions today, so it's completely okay. So if not JRE, I would, as I said earlier, so the weightage will be on other things of your application package. I would again say you that please go and watch the video that I have made on what are the stuffs that are needed in your application package. So mostly it will be your English proficiency test. Because of a PhD student, you need to have an assistantship, right? So for that assistantship, you need to have a higher score on an English proficiency test. Mostly take it as a above 7 or 7.5 is like kind of okay thing, but anything below that might not be clicking for your work. So English proficiency test is a must. Then you should have a good GPA. But people with even medium or average GPA is I would not say that's a bumper, but it's like a kind of red flag for some universities, and some advisors they look for higher GPAs. So make sure you have a like an average or maybe a okay kind of GPA. That's fine. Have a very strong personal statement. So make sure you're writing a personal statement in a very strong way. Get it reviewed, get it corrected. So if you're planning to come to US, make sure you are going to the USIF, your US student services that is present in almost every city in India. Make sure you go there and attend their conferences, attend their seminars, their workshops. So they have different workshops. So they have workshops for different application package. They have workshops for how to lead, how to choose universities, and different topics like your complete how to go to US for higher studies. So they have different workshops. So you can go. I'm writing the USIF. So this is the place where you can go and you can work with them. So they have like different counselors who work for the students, and they, if you want, you can get enrolled in their yearly services. But if not, you can attend the seminars. They are free of cost. You don't have to pay anything for that. So yes, make sure you're working on your personal statement. Make sure you're working on your research application. So most of the universities, they require while you're applying, they require a research statement. So make sure you are going you're writing a good research statement. Oh, I forgot to mention one very important thing, that is a letter of recommendation. So that is you require 3 letter of recommendations for your graduate studies, and those 3 must come from your advisors or maybe your employers, or they should come at least, I would say 2 from your advisor, 2 from your faculty members, and 1 maybe from your employer if you're working on a job or something. But they should have like strong uh, recommendation letter for you. That's very helpful. So make sure you have that. And I think that's all. If I'm leaving any points, if I'm not like including any points, go and watch that video of mine. I have included every point and I've explained step by step. Okay, so Rishabh is asking, no, Sasha is asking, sorry, Sasha is asking, should I take a year gap to do research and publication? See, if you don't have any experience in research, if you have a gap year, and if you have a gap year already, and if you are doing nothing, and if you're like not doing any research or any job, I would say like maybe enroll in some online classes for the time being. Maybe a 2 months course or maybe 3 months course, you can always show that. Otherwise, if you want to like, if you want to have a good score or a good university, you want to be accepted by a good university, I would say you can take a gap year, but don't take a gap year just for research and publication. You can try, always keep trying, see what are the responses that you are getting based on your current application right now. But if not that, you can always take a year gap. But don't take a year gap just because you want to have a publication, because you never know what work you are gonna do is getting published or not. So you cannot like go on uncertainty for something and just take a gap year. I won't say that would be a wise decision from my opinion. Okay. So Rishabh is saying J1 visa duration, time duration. J1 visa is actually exchange visa. So that depends. I think half of the 50% of your course you have to do it in India, and 50% you have to do it over here. So if for say, let's say if you're coming for masters, so masters they can do like 1 year in India, or maybe 6 months in India and 1.5 years over here, or 1 year and 1 year on USA and India. It works like that, something like that. But for PhD student, you don't have J1 visa. You have to have a F1 visa. PhD student, I don't think they work on the exchange visa. You are always like F1 student visa. Okay, so Shasha is asking like, are the transcripts and mark sheets same thing? No, they're not the same thing. So transcript is basically you'll have like all the semester marks and all the subject, they are enclosed in one single paper. So it is like mark sheet, you will be having like different paper for different semesters, right? Maybe you are having, suppose you did BSc, so you are having like for 3 years you are having 6 semesters, right? You will be having 6 mark sheets, but transcript will be having all the marks of this 6 semester in one single paper. So it is just transcribed. So transcript is the coming from the word transcribed. So all the 6 mark sheets are transcribed in one single paper. That is a transcript. So you have to apply it on your university. So in the Indian university where you have completed your degree, you have to apply there. They will give you a transcript, and that transcript, the schools they require the transcript to be originally sent in the envelope that is enclosed by the university with the university stamp. So make sure you are not opening the envelope before coming here or before sending your school. The school should be the first office. So who in like the US schools, I keep on saying schools because in USA the universities are called as schools. So in USA the schools, they are the first. They should be the first people who will open your transcript. So do not open or tamper with your transcripts when you get from your Indian universities. So they're different. So yeah, so we has replied for that. That's correct. So transcript and mark sheets are not same. So okay, the next question, Akash says, I have heard about mentorships, like people online, they are mentoring the grad applicants. Is there anything like such? And what about consultancies versus doing app on own application on your own? Akash, I would say that some consultancies they work fine, but frankly speaking, for PhD, consultancies are not going to help you much. But yeah, some consultancy they may give you like application fee waivers. They can give you good like kind of list of universities. But I would say frankly, for PhD, those things doesn't work, because how the thing in PhD work is you have to send applications, you have to send emails to the professors like of your area of interest, and if that professor like accepts you, then you get acceptance to the school or to the program over there. Otherwise you don't get it direct. Sometimes it happens like you can directly apply to the school. If you are having like the perfect score and the perfect application criteria, you can apply directly to the schools and they may give you an admit. But in PhD mostly it works. You can see if you go and search for different universities, mostly they say that you will be given a chance for admission only if you're accepted by any advisor, or you convince a advisor under whom you can work. So it's very important to have an advisor prior to have your application. But sometimes it doesn't even work. Like some people, they don't even consult the advisors and they directly apply in the grad school and they get over there. But it is kind of, it works differently for different school. But most of the schools in PhD, they require an advisor prior to your application. So I can suggest like one of them is like IDP is kind of good, but I don't think that they will be much helpful for PhD. They are very good for masters and for undergrad people. So because in undergrad and master you get directly admitted to the school, but in PhD you have to have accepted by the advisor prior to be accepted by the graduate committee. So make sure you work on your application own. For PhD it is like a lonely path alone. Nobody's there to help you much. So that was the reason, one of the major reason why I started this channel, because when I personally I went through this process and everything, I understood how hectic it can be for working yourself on your own. So that's why I wanted to help people, and whatever I know and whatever I'm learning till now, I just wanted to share with you guys so that you can have at least some help. Okay, excuse me guys, I'll have just tea break. Okay, I'm sorry. Shasha says, I emailed many professors asking for PhD positions. They just say that apply through department website. Is it good or bad? For PhD, you do not require any consultancy. Okay, so we has answered that. So yeah, sometimes it's some, no, it's not kind of a red flag for you, but it is kind of a thing that sometimes, as I said, some universities, they ask you to apply through the department process, and some university, they ask you that you need to have an advisor before you submit your application, because in the application package itself, like in the application form itself, it will have a column that says that at least three advisors that you want to work with. So you have to, either you have like talked to any professor who had like who has like been convinced to take you as his student, you can list their names, or you can, if you have not like if you have no advisor at all, so you can like add the professors who might get like whose like work of research is like interested to you, you get interested in their work. So kind of, yeah, so it is like it works in both ways. So some universities, they ask you to apply directly through the application form, and some universities, they make you channelize and go through the advisors. So it depends, it's not a bad thing, but I would say that if you apply directly through the department website, the thing that happens is they will be getting a lot of applications, and they will be scrutinizing a lot of application on based of their eligibility requirements. So you don't know exactly whether you are going to be accepted or not. So there is like kind of a dilemma kind of situation. But if you have an advisor, then you know that sure sort you are going to get admit for that university. But sometimes also the advisor says that yes, I'm interested in taking you, but sometimes you lose contact with the advisor, or he or she may get another good student as compared to you, and they may like change their decision. But it happens very rarely, but it has happened with many students, as I know. So yeah. So, okay. So Anurag Rai say, can we calculate GPA on our own in order to shortlist universities in more effective way? Any source or platform? So GPA, there are some online GPA calculator. One is your WES. So that is, I think, World Education Services or something. I don't remember the full form. Maybe I have written somewhere. So I can just give me 1 second. I think I have written it. Okay. World Education Services. Okay, I was right. So WES is a good services for. They are the one who can send your transcripts encrypted. So sometimes your university they may ask you like you have to have your transcripts evaluated by some external agencies. So they don't accept the transcript that are sent by the universities, like your Indian universities. So in that case, you have to just email your mark sheet or upload your mark sheet on the WES websites, and they will transcribe it and they will send to the university. But sometimes some universities require that, but most of the universities then don't require the WS. So this is for transcripts. And yes, there is a free GPA calculator in the WS websites. Make sure you go and check over there. So you can go and check. You have to, I think, upload all your mark sheet and they will calculate your GPA. But it is basic. It is very very normal thing. If your mark sheet is calculated on the basis of 100 points, so your if you got like something maybe 88% in your mark sheet out of 100, so it is 8.8. So it and oh, okay, another thing is, sorry, it works in the scale of 4, so you have to convert it. So there are many online tools. If you know your percentage, you can convert it to the 4 scale GPA scale. So it is easy, you can do it online, so you don't have to go for any other way. But WS is very easy, you can always go and look into that website. Okay, so Akash says, does it matter the faculty is from university or some small college? The one who is writing the LOR. No, it doesn't matter in that way. The thing that is important is that faculty should be one who has taught you. So that faculty must be somebody who knows you personally, and because that faculty will be writing LOR directly to the university, so they might see what is the designation of the faculty. Is he from the same college or university where you have studied? If he's from a different university, then he has to explain that how he knows you, or what subject he has taught you, and how he has taught you. So these are some of the basic questions they'll be asking in the LOR to the professors. So make sure you are taking the recommendation letters from those professors under which you have studied. That is more important. It doesn't depend on small college or big universities. That is not a matter at all. Is 8.2 GPA fine, Shasha? 8.2 GPA is fine. It's not a bad GPA. Don't worry about much about like a higher GPA or something. Work on different other stuff. Like I would say anything above like 7.8 or 9, or maybe 7.5. Above 7.5 is kind of a good GPA. But work on, if you have, see, try to balance on your application. So if you have a less GPA, try to work on the other sectors, like work on your personal statement, work on good LORs, work on your research, work on your experience, work on your English proficiency, work on your research application or maybe publication. So try to balance the things. If you have something low, try to increase the other factors. So overall, your application package should have a good weightage. That's the most important thing. Okay, so Rishabh says, what is transcript? So as I said, Rishabh, already in the video, in the live feed right now. So transcript is something which is like a transcribe of all your mark sheets in in one single page or one single paper that you have to apply in the university actually. So in the Indian university where you have done your maybe bachelor's and master's, they require transcript for bachelor's and master's both. So you have to apply it in the university. So every Indian university almost, they know what is a transcript. So you just have to apply over there and you can get a transcript from that. So Shasa says, can you share your SOP and resume template? Sorry for so many questions. No, it's okay. Completely okay. You don't have to be sorry for that. So I can share the SOP and resume template, but I don't know how to share it over here. Maybe I'll make a separate video on that. So yeah, there are some basic guidelines while writing SOP and template. I'll make a note of this point. Thank you, Shasha. So SOP and resume. Basically, they require a CV for application into the grad schools. So they don't require, there's a difference between resume and CV. So when you're applying for jobs, that's called a resume. But when you're applying for any schools or applications for any schools, that's a CV. That is curriculum vitae. So I'll make a video on that. Thank you for the suggestion. Akash says this channel is really helpful. Thank you, Akash. I'm glad to help. Anurag Rai, he says, if one get enrolled in PhD in India and next year aim to apply for USA, will this affect your application? No, it will be actually, in fact, it is going to be a very advantage for you, because you can show that you got admitted in Indian universities for PhD and you have a whole year of experience. So that is, in fact, going to be an advantage for you. But yeah, this 1 year is not going to be they are not going to like consider the 1 year that you have worked in India. You have to start fresh here in USA. And so water, sorry. Okay. Rishabh says, how is the F1 visa interview? Is it tough? And also points to remember in the visa interview. I can make a separate video on that, because there are some do's and don'ts for the visa interviews. So mine was very short. Actually, for PhD students, the visa interview is very straightforward, and it is a very short duration. They don't like I won't say they don't stretch you with unnecessary questions when you are going for PhD interview, especially when you have your assistantship with you ready, like maybe TA, RA, GA, anything. If you have your assistantship, that is if you have a funded PhD, not the non-funded ones. So if you have a funded PhD application like admit, then they don't ask you for much questions. So it is pretty much simple, but I'll make a separate video on that. but it's not tough. Yeah, but sometimes it's very rare, but sometimes the visa interview for PhD people, they get cancelled because of some wrong answers. So you have to be very careful on how you are answering the questions and what you are answering for their particular question. So I would definitely make a video on that visa interviews, because it is a very important point. Sometimes you have everything with you and everything up to the mark, and you got your admit and everything, and your interview might go wrong and you will just get cancelled and you cannot come over here. So that's a very sad situation. But yeah, I was scared in my interview. I was not confident. Like, I was confident that whatever the question they asked me, I am ready to answer that, but I was very scared because that was kind of, the last step on everything that you have done since the whole, from the beginning, from the whole year or something. So I was very scared, but thankfully I'm fortunate, like it went well. But it was scary. It is scary, but it's fine. You just have to be confident. So, okay, Anurag Rai say, while emailing, one of them reverted with good notes. See further stated, please let me know if you have anything to ask. What are the expected question I should ask being a prospective candidate to a professor, right? So ask them about, like, see, if you're interested in particular one set, like some professors, they are not engaged in only one kind of research area, so they would be doing different kind of research in their labs. So if you're interested in particularly one segment of research in what they're doing in the lab, try to ask questions about that. Show them that you are interested about the research, show them that you are doing your homework, show them that you are actually going through their web page or their lab page, and you are actually like reading their maybe read their research papers, read their publications, and ask questions from that, because that gives them a good impression that this student is like really serious, and he's really interested in the research work. So make sure you leave an impression about that. So you can ask questions about the research that they are conducting in the labs. That will be a good impression on them. Rishabh says it's GPA and JRE score affect fellowship. It does. It does, yeah. So to some extent it does, but mostly the fellowship or the assistantship that you get as a PhD student, that majorly depends on your English proficiency test, because as there are different kind of assistantships, right? So if you are a teaching assistant, then your English speaking must be very good, your English writing must be very good. So, and reading and more than reading and listening, they give preference to your speaking and writing. So there are different factors which hold a very different weightage while considering for your assistancy. Also, while I was applying for the application, I was like accepted by the school. Then my advisor contacted me for T application. So she asked me questions like, what are do you have any prior teaching experience? So I literally, I was already like doing some home tutoring things, and also I was online in the check.com, I was an online tutor. So I was teaching in different platforms, and also I have like some teaching experiences in my universities as well. So I gave her what experiences I have. So based on that also, and based on my IELTS score, I gave IELTS rather than TOEFL. So based on those things, I think they select your assistantship. So GPA is kind of important, but not for your assistantship. It is important for your admission decision. So there are two different separate things. Some segment of your application package is important for considering your admission, and some segment is important for considering your assistantship. So they both are like kind of different thing. Okay. Vishal Jeshi, he says, I'm from Nepal, says, hello, welcome. Welcome to Perky Amigos, sir. What could be the best criteria to shortlist the universities for PhD chemistry, taking one's status into consideration? I have a separate video on that, how to shortlist universities for PhD. make sure you go and check that. I have listed different points on what are the steps that you need while you are considering for a list of universities. So make sure you go and check that video, because there are so many points while you are considering how to choose your list of universities. So if you go and watch that video, you can note it down, like all the steps and everything. So I'm sorry I'm not adding all those points in this video, but I have made completely a separate video for that. I think that might help you, so please go and watch that. But if you still have any questions, just make sure that you follow me in my social medias, me or Souvik, both of us, we are active in our social medias, or maybe in our YouTube. You can just post the question. I can always get back to you. So the next question is Akash. He says, does one need to be too narrow in their research interest, or one can have little vague or broad one? I would say that don't be too narrow while you are having your research interest. Don't go for a particular area, like suppose you, uh, I'm a biologist, so I just in like different other departments. So suppose I will say, if I'm interested in biology, so I should not be saying, maybe I have a particular research interest in how I say, maybe RNA biology or DNA biology. I should not be saying that I am particularly interested in DNA biology. I should be like broadening my criteria a bit, like maybe molecular biology, maybe genetics, maybe physiology or something. So I'm saying, like, don't be too narrow and don't be too vague. It should be like it should have like a impact on the application package, that you are interested in this particular area, but also you are comfortable with something around the area. So don't be too pinpointed on the particular research area that you are interested in. So, okay, so Mendra Sinha, okay, welcome to Perky Amigos. He says, your channel will swell with questions of this short once again. Parents. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your appreciation. So now now Vishal says, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I am sorry I couldn't like answer your question fully, but it is like a very short duration for answering that. That's a very long question, and it has like quite a number of steps. So I would suggest that please go and watch that video. You can have your questions answered, but if you have any doubts, just get back to me. It will be, I can help you. So Anurag says, may I contact grad student from university I'm applying to get guidance? Is it a good idea? I would say, I don't know how helpful they will be, like how willingly they will be helping you in matter of that. But rather than grad students, it will be very good if you contact the international services, like the international office, or maybe the department advisor. So whichever department you are interested in, make sure if you can contact the department chair or the department advisor or the graduate advisor, so they can guide you better. Graduate student, they can always help you, but it depends on how willingly they are like eager to help. So not everyone, and also they run over here in a very busy schedule, so it's very difficult for them to also give time. But if you have contacts, or if you can make connections, make sure, I won't say you don't try that area. You can go and you can try there, but I don't know how effective that is going to be. That's all I want to say. But you can if you want, you can. Yeah. Little off topic, but we don't see much of SOUVIK sir now. He is busy right now, so he is like kind of occupied. So I want SOUVIK to answer that question. So SOUVIK, Akash Rajoria sir is asking why you are not more active, but he is more active in the social media. So if you are posting any comments or anything, because we get a lot of comments and DMs in our social media, in Instagram and in our Twitter. So he handles those platforms. So he's more active over there. He's kind of shy coming in front of camera, so he doesn't do the videos. I do. I'm the daring one. Sorry. Okay, Anurag, I say thank you for such a wonderful platform. I'm glad to help you. So it's always a pleasure helping others. I know this path is really difficult for PhD students, so I'm glad to help. Now, as I don't have any questions over here, so I want to go and answer some of the questions which are already asked in my comment sections. the first thing was asked like what are the types of assistantship that are provided for a PhD students. So there are basically, I would say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types of assistantship. So it differs from university to university. The common ones are the TA, RA, and GA. That's the teaching assistant, the research assistant, and the graduate assistant. So these three are common. So apart from that, there are some assistantship given to the graders and also to the instructional assistants. So some universities have them, some don't, but majorly they have those three: the TA, RA, and the GA. I'll make a separate video. I have noted down already. Somebody, like many people have requested me about like doing a video on the assistantship. I'll get me noted down, or else I may forget that. So my next video, one of the topic that I got is the assistantships. So yeah. Which is better? Rishabh says, so Souvik has already answered for Akash. Okay, Rishabh says teaching assistantship or research assistantship, which is better? Rishabh Bond. Okay. The both are good in my opinion. If you want to pursue a career further in any teaching kind of platform, then it's good to have teaching assistants because you get a lot of experience which you can add in your CV. But if you are interested more in like you want to go for jobs or anything after that, then you can have research assistantship because they need more hands-on practice. But they both are like kind of good things. They both, I won't say like which is better. See, TA, it has its own advantage and disadvantage. RA also has its own terms. So TA is basically given by the department, the graduate school, or maybe your graduate department, and RA is something that is given by the advisor itself. So it comes directly from the advisor's fund. So the advisor, if he has a funded project that where you are going to work, so he might give you an option of working under him full time in the lab, and he will pay your stipend from his pocket, from his fundings. But TA is something you have to teach, and then the department is going to pay you the stipend. So they both are going to cover your tuition fees, and also they're going to give you some stipend in your hand for your expenses. But they both are kind of important, and I won't say which one is better. RA is definitely better because you don't have to do the extra work, you don't have to teach, you don't have doing those stuffs, but you don't gain the experience of teaching. So if you want that to be added in your CV, then that's a negative thing. But if you don't mind teaching and you love teaching, or you want that experience, TA is good. But in TA you have to do extra work because you have to teach apart from going to a lab, and apart from having your own classes. So both have positive and negative things of their own. So it depends on what you are preferring to, and also it depends on what your professor is advising. My professor, he advised me like to go for TA for a couple of years, and maybe last 2 years I'll go for RA. So right now I'm a TA. So I have, if we get like good fundings, maybe we'll go for RA from my 3rd year, hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay, so Akash says, oh, okay, so they both are, Akash and Souvik, they're talking. Okay, so let me go over to my next question. So I'll do a separate video on assistantship, detailed video on that if you have any doubts still on that. Okay, so I'll just read the questions. Let me see, I got okay, so there was a very common question on what is the amount of stipend or scholarship amount that a PhD student can get. I am writing let me just type this link. So I'm giving you a link over here. So this link you can put, so this is the pay scale link. So basically what happens over here, you have to put your, maybe the city, like which city your university is located, and what position you have, a TA or RA or a professor, or what rank you have. So if you put those details, it will calculate the amount of scholarship that is, or the amount of stipend that you are going to get in that city. So if your university is located in that city, it is going to calculate for you. So it is very easy. I found it very easy and kind of accurate as well. So it is kind of approximately more or less it is the same thing. So if you want, you can save this website to calculate the stipend you are looking for. But I would say roughly it is between 15,000 to 30,000 per year, per annum or per year for a PhD student to get the stipend. And also it depends on majorly two things. First is where is the location of your university. If it is in a New York, or if it is in Manhattan, or if it is in Washington DC or California. So if it is in the bigger cities, the expenses are higher, so they are going to pay you higher stipends. But if your university in small cities, like maybe in a small town in Kentucky, or maybe in Michigan right here, or maybe in Ohio, or maybe in Texas, so they will, where the living expense or the cost of living is very less, so they will pay you very less stipend. But whatever stipend they will pay you, that is enough for your survival at that place. So they will pay the stipend according to the place. So it depends on the place where your university is located, and also it depends on the type of assistance that you are getting, TA or RA or GA. It depends on that also. I hope. And also, yeah, the field of study. But I won't say like in our university, all the department TAs, they get approximately the same amount. But another thing that might affect your assistantship, if you don't have any assistantship, and if you have any prior scholarship, like maybe a Fulbright scholarship or all those kind of external scholarship, or maybe a scholarship from NIH or NSF, those funded projects, so you get more amount, so your stipend is a very higher amount. So it depends on that also. If you can bag a scholarship from the external sources, that's a good thing, I would say. Otherwise, university is going to pay you according to the living cost of that city. Okay, so Anurag Rai says, what any department expect from a prospective grad applicant? What can I do to put myself in a position to get accepted, or how to be a strong applicant? No, you're not vague. What to expect? So department would be expecting, first thing, in a grad student, whether you are a master's student or a PhD, both are considered as graduate students. So if you're a grad student, they'll be expecting someone who has like a good background, like a educational, like academic background should be good. So particularly they'll be looking at every segment of your application package, all the fields like your GPA, your statements, and your LOR, your research experience, everything they'll be looking at that. The next thing they'll be looking is how sincere is the student. That is how they will be seeing your English proficiency. From that, they will have an idea about how the student is going to behave as a TA or as a RA, and how good you are going to be acquainted with the environment over here in US. So basically they'll be looking at good academic background. And trust me, they are not going to look at your financial background of your family or anything like that. They are not going to look at it at all. For PhD, it is fully funded in almost all the universities in US. Unless you get any non-funded PhD, I would suggest no, don't go for that. So if you have a fully funded PhD, that is where the most of the cases happen. So that's fine. They would be looking only at your academic background. That's all. And if you want to put your how can answering to the second part of the question, what can I do to put myself in a position to get to be a strong applicant? I would say like work on your application package. That is very important, because they will be looking at only your application package and deciding whether to accept you or not. So make sure you are balancing well in your application package, and you are having good scores. GPA is something which is already in the past. It is done. If you are not in currently a master's student, so GPA is something you cannot work. But if you are a master's student, I will say that work on your GPA as well. But if not, try to write a good personal statement. Try to write your good research application, and also, if possible, try to gain some research experience as well. So it is very important to be having a good academic profile. That's the only way you can be a strong applicant. Yep. So Rishabh says, I have seen many videos about PhD. They all say that in US after 2 years of PhD, there is an exam. If we pass, they further the PhD yeah, that is called your candidacy. So candidacy happens basically after you complete certain duration of your credits. So credits are the courses that you take over here. So in our university, when you complete almost like 15 sorry the I think 15 research credits, then you are eligible for candidacy. So candidacy, basically it happens is the thing that happens in candidacy is basically you are allowed to give so when you are ready for candidacy, you go for candidacy. Candidacy doesn't happen automatically, but it usually you have to take it before your third year, or maybe before your third year is completed. So basically people go around their third year. So it's before the fourth year actually. So yeah, so you go for candidacy. Candidacy is something where you have to show that almost 50% of your work has been done, of your project, of your PhD project, that has been done, and they will be having questions based on that. So you have to present that, present your partial work to the committee members. So and they will be analyzing everything, and they'll be asking you questions based on that. So there will be oral examination, that is the examination when you present your presentation, which is almost half of your work is done. I will say when mostly 60% of your work is done, go for candidacy at that time. So you'll go for that. And after that, there are some universities which have a rule, like they have a policy of going for an written exam as well. But some universities, they have only the oral examination, and some have both. So if your university is asking for oral and written both, then you have to appear both the examination. If you pass in that examination, which is most of the cases people pass, because when you have done your work for 3 years, how you're not sure about your work? You basically know what is your work about, like, right? So it's very difficult to not pass in these exams. So make sure you're well prepared, and whenever you're working in a PhD, you have to be very serious in your work. So you have to be well aware. If you don't have that grip on your subject, don't go for PhD. Look, I'm sorry, I'm not like kind of n- like not discouraging anyone, but it's like it's the fact, because here the PhD is something which is treated in a very valuable way. They treat it in very serious way, and they expect you to know everything because you are a PhD student. They will not hold your hand and teach you anything over here. So don't expect that even. So you have to know the basic techniques, you have to know the basic stuff, so in your field of area, in your field area, yeah. So if you have that particular grip, or if you know that you, if you don't have and you can work on it, then work on it. But you need to have a very good grip on your subject. That's the only way out. Then when you go for candidacy exam after 3 years, you are acquainted with your work for the last 3 years. You have done it yourself, right? So you must be having knowledge on that. So it's very difficult to not pass those exams. But if you don't pass, then yes, your PhD will be cancelled. And they may offer you, sometimes they offer you different alternatives, like go for MS or go for MA, or alternative ways, or they may just send you home, like cancel your I-20. So that has happened, but it happens very rarely, but yeah, it happens. So yeah, it's called, so we have said it's called PhD candidacy exam, correct? Yes. So until you pass your candidacy, you are called a PhD student. So when you pass a candidacy, then your status changes and you are called a PhD candidate. That means your candidacy exam has been completed, and now you're ready for your final thesis, which will happen after 2 years. So it works that way. So Shasha says, how many universities should I apply? Yeah, as SOUVIK said, it is minimum 5 to 6 is good, but maximum I would say don't exceed beyond 8 or 9. That's enough. That's enough, because you are not going to apply to those universities where you don't get good replies. So you won't be getting replies from all the universities, but also if you're having replies for maybe more than 10, try to, how I say, like try to choose the good options or the best options and go for them. Don't go for every universities that you get good replies. Okay. Akash Rajoria says views about Fall 21 applications, how COVID is affecting it in terms of difficulties when compared to normal times. That's a good question. Fall 21, most of the universities they're going online for Fall 21. Oh, sorry, Fall 21, right? Most of the universities, I think they're going for online till spring 21. So, not sure about the fall 2021 because it is quite early to say now. They might, if the vaccine is out before the time and the vaccine is a reliable and a good vaccine, then they might change to in person. But if the case remains same as it is now, then they might go for online. So just be prepared for both of the situation. But I would say for COVID, the strategies that the schools are taking over here individually, they are good. But if you have an option that you get an admit and in the fall it is like in person, sorry, in online, you can stay in India and just attend the classes online. In that way, you are saving a lot of amount for your expenses over here, living expenses and all those things. I know you'll be missing some of the in-person institutional or classroom experiences, but you have 5 years of PhD, so you'll have enough time to have that experience later. But if you get an admit, don't lose that chance. Just get admitted and start your classes. That's all I will advise. But oh, this fall, okay, this fall it's completely online. It's completely online for most of the universities. So it is affecting in the way that we are not able to go to our in-person classes mostly. So even if some classes are happening in person, they're happening very in a distinctive way, like maybe fewer student in per class, and maybe they're sitting in a large auditorium with like well separated with from each other. So its situation is different. It's not I'm not seeing much people on campus, though there are some people on campus, but there are not much people on campus. So in person things are hampered a lot in terms of experience, I would say. Otherwise the classes are fine, but it is very difficult for some classes to happen online, especially the biological sciences classes, because you need to have some hands-on experiences where you need to be present in the lab. That things are affected. Otherwise it's like, I don't know, we are kind of like habituated because we have been like doing online classes since the middle of our spring semester, 2020, 2019. No, sorry, 2020, sorry, 2020, yeah. So from this March we have been doing classes online. It is, I don't know, it's kind of used to right now. I won't say it's like bothering that much, but for new students it might be a little tricky and overwhelming, but otherwise it's kind of fine. Okay, I'm going to my next question. Oh, sorry, my questions are over here. Stipend, RATA. So many questions are on RA and TA. Okay. Yeah, the tuition fees for the PhD student, that is covered by the university, so you don't have to pay for the tuition fees. That's in your package. Somebody asked me that question too. Akash Rajoria says, I'm a student from previous cycle, could not come here, so they deferred admission. So funding and getting admit would be difficult as they will be preferring deferred application. That's for sure. Yeah, that is going to be a problem. In the fall mostly they are admitting those students who have deferred their admissions, and also like who got applications who got admit, sorry, in the spring, and they have deferred their admissions, they will be getting chances. And also some student who are coming in Fulbright scholarship, they will be getting chances because they are sending their students anyhow. So I met two students today who came here this fall, like the last week, with Fulbright scholarship. So they were forcefully sent to come and attend here, and they are attending the online classes. So they are pissed off. So yeah, that's the situation. Many people are like deferring their admission. So for normal people, I would say it will be safe if you apply for next spring or maybe next fall. Just give it some time, because now the situation is like, if even if you come here, there is no guarantee that you will be able to work in the lab. Don't I would say, if it is possible to study online and don't work, not working in the lab, it will affect your visa status. So that is also going to be a problem. So make sure you're aware of those stuffs and talk with your international office prior to making any admission decision. That will be wise. So Anurag Rai say, if one has RA experience in India, okay, and a particular supervisor, but applying in the US, he doesn't want the LOR from that supervisor. Is it all right? I didn't get super. Sorry, I didn't get my LOR from my advisor, and it worked completely fine. You don't have to. So you need to. I got LOR from the advisor where I was doing my internship. So I didn't get the advisor's LOR from my master's. So it's completely fine. You don't need to. So the thing is, sometimes they require. They have a particular requirement that you have to have your LOR from your advisor. So in that situation, it might be tricky. But if you are sure that your advisor is going to write bad things about you, then don't go for that advisor. Don't go for that person. Go for different other faculties who are having good positions in your universities, and whom you are sure that they will write good things. See, the most important thing is the people who are going to write your LORs, they're going to write positive things about you. So there, if you think that the advisor is not going to write positive things about you, then don't go for that advisor, or don't go for that faculty person, because you must have like different faculty people in your department. So go and approach anyone other who can write positive things. It is very important to have highlighted your positive things by your faculty who is writing your LOR. Choose that wisely. Okay, so going for my next question. I'd like to request to make all the video. Okay, somebody has requested me about the stipend. Okay, I'll make a separate video, as I said. Next, Pamela Chaudhary says about the assistancy for the scholarship. That's the same thing. I'll make another video on that. I have made a separate video about the do's and don'ts about the COVID situation. So this is that. I think that video says about the life of international students during the COVID situation in US. I think that will help for answering that question. Then, okay, where are the recent questions? So, average salary for a student, same thing. It goes around 15,000 to 30,000 depending on the place and location of your university. So what is the rent of housing over here? So I have made a separate video on the housing, on the expenses of entirely. I have listed so many points about the expenses and how your expenses is divided over here. So you can watch that video about the expenses. So there's a separate video about that. Let me see if I have lastly any questions. So Praveen Maji says, is there any single or separate room allotted for PhD students on campus? So you are not allotted any room for PhD student on campus. You have to book your own apartment, or maybe you don't. PhD student, they don't stay on the dorms, or maybe off campus housing, whatever housing you are willing to, you have to choose it yourself. No, so the university is not going to put any mandatory thing on the housing thing, so you have to choose it. If you want, you can have roommates. If you want, you can have single room. So I had single room in my first year. In this year also, I'm living in a different house, and also I'm having a single room. That's your option, but that depends totally on you. And I know many people over here, like many Indian people also, they have roommates. So it's optional. It's your choice. So that's the question. That's the answer for the question by Praveen Machi. Then How much it costs for health insurance and visa? The visa cost is $160 for F1, J, and M visa students, and couple of more visa students. Mostly for F1 and J1 and M visa, there is $160. So convert that into Indian currency, that will be that amount. So yes, and the health insurance, that is, I have already explained it in the beginning of this session. So health insurance depends on your age and your university and your location, mostly on age and location. So I have given two options for health insurance. That's, you can check those options and which one work for you, but don't go for any health insurance that's from India. You have to start with the health insurance from here, the US one. So Arun ahead asked, the question is, he's looking forward to the PhD at USA. Also think, let us know about the PhD student life and those stipend, and okay, generally schedule and daily life. Oh my god, I have to make a like a daily life kind of video. So I'll make a separate video on that. It's almost like 2:40 in the night, 2:40 a.m. in the night over here, and I if I start what I do in my daily schedule, that's going to be a lot. So I'll just answer a few questions which are asked in my social media. So Anushka says, how are the classes now and how are you teaching now? So my classes, I'm not taking any classes this semester, so I don't have any classes over here right now. So I'm just going to my lab and I'm having online conference. That's all for now, and I'm teaching online as well. So that's the question answer for Anushka. Mona Lisa says, like, is Indian food available over here? Oh yes, people. There's a secret I will say. The American people, they love Indian foods. They love a lot. Like, not maybe the spicy ones, but medium spicy and low spicy. I know some of my American friends, they can handle more spicy foods than I can do. So Indian food is loved over here. So you are definitely going to have Indian food. So don't worry. If not, if you know how to cook, then cook your own food. I do. So that's an option. Shruti says, how often you can visit India? I haven't visited India since a year now. Due to the COVID situation, if you ask the question now, you cannot visit India often. Now you need to do a lot of paperwork for it if you want to go home from your university. That's a long process. You cannot go more often. And Amit Thakur says, how to get a license in USA? Do you need to carry your passport all the time? So how to get a license? You have to go for a written examination and a road test. If you're asking for driving license, I guess. So you have to go for a road test and go for a written examination, and then you get your license. So it is quite difficult for getting a license in USA because the road test here is very difficult. So it's very difficult and very scary. So you have to learn properly. If you are a prominent, like a well good, I can say a very good driver in India, then might be you can practice a little bit and you'll get appointed. But it'll take some time. I took some time before practicing over here and getting my stuff done, though I had my Indian license too, but it will take some time for you. Yep. And do you need to carry passport all the time? So Amit, I would answer for you that no, you don't need to carry your passport if you have the state ID. So maybe I can make a separate video on that, like what are the documents you need to have with you when you are a student over here. So if you have a state ID, you don't need to carry. I have been carried my passport for months now. It's in my room. It's in my wardrobe, so I don't carry it all the time. I have my state ID for state Michigan, so I can carry that state ID and travel all around the US with that state ID. I don't need to carry my passport. So that's your official thing. So if it's so all the states mostly they have their own separate state ID. So if you have the state ID, you can travel around the state or maybe the entire United States. You don't have to carry the passport. So yes, I think that's all for today. I think I have answered all the questions, but if you guys still have any questions, so you can always ask me in my social media or here in the YouTube also. I will try to answer them. And also, if you have not subscribed to my channel yet, I'll say that please go and subscribe to my channel and share the content if you like with people you know that can get help from these videos. I'll see you guys next time. Stay park here and be our Amicus 5. good night for me, and I think it's good noon for all of you. Thank you for all your questions. From me and SOUVIK, we say signing off. Bye bye. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Akash. Thank you, Anurag. Thank you to all of you who were there today, Shasha, and I don't remember all the names, but thank you, everyone. Bye bye.